Salamat berjumpa. Welcome to ASEAN Today, your monthly look at the dynamic Southeast Asia region. I'm Dalton Tanonaka of the Indonesia channel at the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta.
สวัสดีครับ I'm Chairat Thomya of Thailand's Thairat TV in Bangkok. Thank you for joining us. We begin this month with the commemoration of the day that changed lives forever 10 years ago, including many here in Thailand. December 26 marked the anniversary of devastating 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. It was triggered by a 9.1 magnitude undersea earthquake off the northwest coast of Indonesia. In all, 14 countries were affected by the natural disaster, with more than 230,000 people killed. Representatives from several countries attended a commemoration event held in Indonesia's Aceh province, which was among the hardest hit areas. Ceremonies were also held in countries that were hit by the tsunami, including Malaysia, Myanmar, and Vietnam. We hear from survivors later in our Hot Seat segment.
ASEAN leaders met with South Korea's president to discuss business expansion and climate change. The occasion was the ASEAN-Korea Commemorative Summit on December 11th and 12th in Busan. It marked 25 years of bilateral dialogue. President Park Geun-hye welcomed leaders from every member state and ASEAN Secretary General. ASEAN was South Korea's second largest trading partner in 2013 with a total of $135 billion. Investigators are trying to determine what happened to AirAsia Flight 8501. It was on its way from Surabaya in Indonesia's eastern Java to Singapore when it disappeared early on December 28th. Searchers found debris and victims on December 30th, confirming a crash in the Java Sea off Borneo. 162 people were aboard the flight.
A United Nations report says opium production in Myanmar dropped for the first time in nearly 10 years. The survey from the UN's Office on Drugs and Crime says the decline was due to lower crop use. Myanmar was the second leading opium producer after Afghanistan, with 670 tons, 200 tons less than in 2013. Opium is illegal in Myanmar, but the trade is difficult to stop. Poor farmers depend on income from their supply crops.
Christmas was celebrated with festive events throughout the region, including countries where Christianity is a minority religion. In Singapore, the popular shopping district along Orchard Road was a sparkling wonderland ever since mid-November, complete with artificial snow made of foam. This area has been lit up like this every year since 1996. In the Philippines, Christians proudly boasted about the longest Christmas celebration in the world. Seasonal festivities began in September until the first Sunday in January. This celebration was also seen as a run-up to the January visit of Pope Francis. And in the home of the world's biggest Muslim population, the national Christmas event was held outside the capital for the first time. Indonesia officially observed the holiday in the country's easternmost province, Papua, with President Joko Widodo leading the observance. Indonesia is also where an Italian entrepreneur is stirring up a recipe for success. ASEAN Today's Robalyn Proba reports on Central Java's mozzarella man, Salvatore de Campos.
Stretchy, gooey, and full of calcium goodness, cheese has long been a favorite product for many. One of the most popular types of cheese is the stringy mozzarella, found mostly atop of pizza. Here in Indonesia, an Italian entrepreneur is putting his own spin on the popular cheese to make Indonesian-style mozzarella, combining age-old Italian cheese-making techniques with Indonesian milk from a cow farm on the slopes of the active Merapi volcano, giving the cheese a distinct flavor. Operating out of a small factory in the tourist-friendly city of Yogyakarta, Salvatore de Campos began manufacturing the cheese in 2013. He called it Camilla mozzarella.
The milk is different. This milk in Merapi, from Merapi, is very, very nice, very sweet. And the mozzarella cheese is the same of Italy, but have a more tasty.
With 7 Indonesian staff, the factory produces up to 60 kilograms of mozzarella cheese every day, turning milk into packaged cheese in a 5-hour process. The company requires a supply of 3,000 liters of milk for a week's production. At $24 or around 298,000 rupiah per kilogram, Camila mozzarella is just a few dollars shy of the cost of imported cheese. Cheese consumption in Indonesia is rising in the last 5 years, and food critics say a boost in locally produced products could curb the demand for imports.
Keju lokal bisa menggantikan keju impor, tentu saja dengan kualitas yang lebih baik, dengan harga yang bersaing, dan tentu juga dengan bagusnya kalau restoran-restoran itu juga bisa mempromosikan bahwa mereka menggunakan bahan-bahan lokal.
Camila mozzarella is currently available in a number of 5-star hotels and upscale restaurants around the country. One of them is Italian restaurant Trattoria in Indonesia's capital, Jakarta. Trattoria switched from using imported cheese to Camila mozzarella 2 years ago and now uses up to 25 kilograms of cheese each week.
Kita milih keju mozzarella dari Camila karena dari bentuk dan rasa yang berbeda dari keju-keju sebelumnya atau keju-keju yang lain lah. Jadi kita memilih produk Camila karena banyak tamu-tamu yang menyukai keju tersebut.
Camila mozzarella is planning to strengthen its foothold in the Southeast Asian market. The team is aiming to venture into retail in the near future in order to sell its cheese in Indonesian, Singaporean, and Malaysian supermarkets. Robert Purba for ASEAN Today, Jakarta.
More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly.
We hear from survivors 10 years after the Indian Ocean tsunami how priorities and lives were changed that unforgettable day. You're watching ASEAN Today. I'm Chairat Thumya in Bangkok.
And I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta. It's been 10 years since one of the worst natural disasters in history devastated countries along the Indian Ocean. For many, life would never be the same after that giant tsunami. Residents of Aceh here in Indonesia were the most impacted. Several recalled that day and the days after.
Air kami lihat dekat gunung di bawah, Bapak lebih kurang 200 meter dengan daratan. Jadi air udah surut, udah nampak kaki karang. Kami potong pukat, kursen, kami lari terus ke tengah, udah bangun ombak lebih kurang 30 meter, tapi belum pecah, udah bangun alun tinggi. Setelah kami satu gelombang yang ada dapat nungki gini, kemudian ya kami zigzag, ada selah-selah itu. Lari ke tengah laut sana.
Keadaan konflik ya. Keadaan konflik. Jadi pas meledak lagi kawan, fikir bom.
Saat itu saya teriak. Saya terus terang aja belum tahu kata-kata tsunami. Ya waktu itu air laut naik, air laut naik, air laut naik gitu kan.
Ya orang-orang berlarian lah di depan gelombang itu, gelombang yang 3 meter yang ketika itu mungkin masih rendah.
Kita juga kaget dan orang banyak lari gitu, kirain ada apa gitu ya. Kita juga ikut lari, belum sempat nyebrang ya, udah digulung air. Airnya datang dari sini kan, digulung terus ya.
Seluruh wilayah sekitar itu memang memberikan pemandangan yang sangat-sangat berbeda. Semuanya flat. Semuanya apa namanya ya, habis. Ya. Pemandangan yang sulit dibayangkan. Ada yang berpikir, apakah ini kiamat?
Saya lihat bapak saya sudah berurai air mata. Saya nggak pernah lihat bapak saya nangis. Nggak pernah. Pertama sekali saya lihat bapak saya, mana ibu saya, mana adik-adik saya. Tapi pada saat itu bapak saya bilang satu kata, Suci, nak, ikhlaskan. Maybe we have to let it go. And it's just at that point, I know I have to let them go. As a father, as a husband, he must have done his best to find them, yeah.
Kami 2 bulan setelah tsunami itu sudah kembali ke kampung, kita benah masjid-masjid ini, kita perbaiki, kita ada tenda-tenda bantuan itu, kita tinggal di tenda-tenda ketika itu. Dan kita berupaya untuk ya dengan masyarakat yang lain sama-sama lah kita senasib sepertanggungan. Kalau memang kita sudah begini, harus kita yang kembali untuk membenahnya gitu.
Ya berbeda, udah pasti antara udah musibah semua. Tapi yang namanya masyarakat dia kan harus hidup. Jadi dia juga kalau memang dia patah semangat, mungkin dia nggak bisa hidup lagi. Jadi orang Aceh ini memang itulah memang dari nenek moyangnya. Mereka harus hidup. Ini cobaan semua. Jadi apapun ya berserah diri.
Masjid yang megah ini satu-satunya sebagai monumental yang tinggal setelah tsunami. Mungkin Allah telah menunjukkan kepada kita rumahnya yang ditinggalkan satu-satunya nih. Kita jaga dengan baik-baik, kita makmurkan dan kita jadikan sisi salah satu masjid ini sebagai monumental bahwa pernah terjadi tsunami.
Cerita Aceh bukan hanya cerita tentang konflik, tapi juga cerita tentang perdamaian. Cerita Aceh bukan hanya cerita tentang bencana terbesar, tapi juga kekuatan manusia terbesar untuk bisa bangkit lagi dan solidaritas internasional. Dan menurut saya salah satu peran saya sekarang adalah menjadi saksi untuk itu.
Yang penting tidak ada konflik lagi, semuanya hidup dalam damai.
Those interviews were done as part of a documentary funded by the U.S. Government Agency for International Development, one of many groups that helped in the recovery. More ASEAN Today is just ahead.
We visit fishermen in Cambodia learning to preserve the future of their industry. And in Bangkok, spectacular orchids were the stars of the show. That's ahead.
This is ASEAN Today.
And we are coming to you this month from Jakarta and Bangkok. Fishermen in Cambodia are helping themselves against the impact of climate change. They're learning how to keep fishing ground fertile while developing new sources of income. ASEAN Today, Jani Watvani reports.
Fishing villages on the island of Koh Rong in Cambodia are on the front line in the battle against climate change and environmental degradation. Ocean warming, acidification, and overfishing have slashed fish stocks by as much as 80% in 5 years. The Song Sa Foundation has been set up to promote sustainability in the Koh Rong archipelago. It has established a no-fishing marine reserve around the coral reef breeding grounds to help stabilize fish populations.
The corals can't cope with that increasing temperature. They're stopping spawning at certain times of the year. They're not spawning when we're expecting them to spawn. The fish can't cope with that because their food source is depleting. And with the ocean acidification, the dropping of the pH, the corals can't cope with that and they start to dissolve.
There has been a big increase in the number of large trawlers fishing off Koh Rong. It has doubled to more than 120 since 5 years ago, including many from neighboring Thailand and Vietnam. Most fishermen on the island are now limited to shore-based fishing with small nets.
សមុទ្រយើងបើអត់ពីនេសាទនឹងអត់បានទេចប់ហើយគឺដឹងរកអីចិញ្ចឹមគ្រួសារបានមានតែធ្វើខ្ញុំគេលើគោកលើអីបាទហ្នឹងបានដឹងចារការនឹងចូលច្រើនឥឡូវចប់អីរកសមុទ្រចាំមើលពី3ខែទៀតនឹងបានហ្នឹងចាំបើដាច់ចូលភាសានេះចេញភាសាហើយ ចេញផ្សារហើយនឹងបានហើយ
The foundation is also planting mangrove grass and trees in vulnerable areas and working with former fishermen to help them develop new sources of income, including growing mushrooms, fish farming, and even construction work.
ដល់បានតិចពេកអញ្ចឹងមិនអាចគ្រប់គ្រងជីវភាពរួចខ្លះទៅរំលែកទៅធ្វើជាបុគ្គលិកទៅជាខាងតំបន់ទេសចរអញ្ចឹងណារួចក៏ធ្វើជាជាងផ្ទះជាងអីដូចខ្ញុំអញ្ចឹងធ្វើជាងកញ្ចុះជាងអីអញ្ចឹងទៅធម្មតានឹងដើម្បីដោះស្រាយជីវភាពគ្រួសារហ្នឹងហើយដោះស្រាយជីវភាពគ្រួសារអញ្ចឹងមិនថាក្នុងភូមិយើងនឹងព្រោះតែជាប្រនវាមានតិចភាគរយណាស់ដែលសម្រាប់តែធ្វើមងក្តារមងអីដូចទៅគេមានទុនធានធំគេអាចចេញទៅឆ្ងាយពីតំបន់កោះនឹងគេអាចធ្វើបានដូចជាមានទុនធានគេអាចបានគាត់គង់បើតែទូកតូចតាចហ្នឹងមិនអាចទៅធ្វើអីបានទេហ្នឹងហើយមានតែឡើងមកធ្វើគឺខាងលើខ្លះនឹងត្រាតខ្លះដើម្បីតបតល់ហ្នឹងហើយ
As part of its efforts to fight climate change, Song-Sa Foundation is helping this vulnerable community manage their lives while doing its part to preserve the environment. Chandni Vatvani for ASEAN Today.
Here are several events on the ASEAN calendar. Canadian singer Michael Bublé will perform at the Putra Indoor Stadium in Bukit Jalil, Kuala Lumpur on January 27th. The Philippine International Hot Air Balloon Fiesta will see aviators from around the world gathering in Angeles City, Pampanga from February 12th to the 15th. And the Elephant Festival, popularly known as the Pachyderm Party, will be held from February 17th to February 19th in Sayabuli, Laos. Thailand grows some of the most beautiful orchids in the world. A recent exhibition in Bangkok featured the best of the best blooms, as ASEAN Today's Prisma Kinanti shows us.
The 8th Majestic Orchid Exhibition, Siam Paragon Royal Orchid Paradise, was recently held at Bangkok's Botanical Garden at the Siam Paragon Shopping Complex. Some of the most beautiful and finest orchid blossoms were used to decorate two 5-meter-tall structures standing next to a Thai-styled gate which represented the door to ASEAN, welcoming visitors to experience the beauty of the Thai Orchid Paradise.
คือเป็นการกระตุ้นเศรษฐกิจกับอุตสาหกรรมกล้วยไม้ของประเทศไทยและของอาเซียนซึ่งมีการส่งออกแลกเปลี่ยนกันถึง 10,000 ล้านต่อแต่ละปีแล้วการที่เรานำมากล้วยไม้มาจัดเพื่อจะเผยแพร่ความสวยงามกล้วยไม้เนี่ยเป็นการนำแสดงกล้วยไม้ของอาเซียนเพื่อให้แต่ละประเทศทั่วโลกเนี่ยได้เห็น
I just love orchids. Yes, they're beautiful. They're amazing flowers that grow in really difficult places.
More than 1,500 orchid plants with hundreds of thousands of individual orchid blossoms were part of the main exhibition, including several species from neighboring ASEAN countries like Malaysia, the Philippines, and Cambodia. This year's event marked the first time the exhibit showcased the best selected orchids from each province around Thailand, including 4 new orchid species found in the country.
ออกดอกทุกลำครับมันออกดอกทุกลำทุกลำลูกกล้วยของมันรอบต้นพร้อมๆกันซึ่งโอกาสที่มันจะออกเนี่ยมันน้อยมากที่จะออกได้เยอะขนาดนี้แล้วก็ความหอมของมันมีความหอมในตัวต้นนี้เป็นลักษณะที่เขาเป็นดอกก็จะดอกก็เลยทำให้สวยงามปกติหวายที่ออกทางท่อจะออกแต่ยอดนะแต่ตัวนี้มันสามารถออกมาได้ถึงครึ่งลำนะครับ
The exhibition was organized by Siam Paragon and the Ministry of Agriculture to promote orchids as a national icon, encourage young Thais to take an interest in orchid cultivation, and stimulate the economy for Thai orchid farmers. Prisma Kinanti for ASEAN Today.
It's feedback time when we hear from you throughout the ASEAN region and the world. We received this video email this month.
Hello, this is Pei Hua from Hong Kong. I think ASEAN Today is a very good window for me to know more about the culture and news from the region. Can you tell me more about Lao PDR?
Surely, Pei Hua, we have featured reports from Laos and will again in the coming months. Let us know what you're thinking or want to see on the program. Email us at ASEANTodayTV@gmail.com, post something on our Facebook page, or tweet us at ASEANTodayTV. Chai Dot?
Dalton, it was no surprise that there was a huge crowd of spectators at an annual event in Manila. They were cheering for the Operation Run held on December 14th, in which participations wore little else but masks. This tradition is organized by the Alpha Phi Omega fraternity at the University of the Philippines. The students try to keep their identities hidden by wearing the mask. The event is named after the oblation, a statue of a naked man with outstretched arms, considered a landmark on campus. And that's ASEAN Today for this month. I'm Chairat Thomya of Thailand's Thairat TV in Bangkok. Happy New Year, Dalton.
Same to you, Chairat. I think it's kind of hard to run when you don't have any clothes on. Anyway, I'm Dalton Tanonaka of the Indonesia channel in Jakarta. Thank you very much for watching and see you again next month.